All righty, very good Thursday afternoon to all of you. Welcome in. Chico Borman Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. Glad to have you along. We broadcast noon to 2, Monday through Friday, right here from our beautiful studios. I just had a passerby about 10 minutes ago go, wow, this is really, how long you guys been? This is sweet. This is a nice little set. It is a nice little setup we have here at Burke Lakefront Airport, and have a chance to bring you this show, noon to 2, live on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. Also on YouTube, type in the Chico Borman Show. If you are not subscribed, you can hit that little button there where it says subscribe, and you'll be all set to go. Also available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, doesn't matter. And we are also streaming live on iHeartRadio. Just type in Big Play, and you will find us there as well. We've got a lot to get to. You said that yesterday. Well, I wasn't lying yesterday, and I'm not lying today. Did have a change in time from the initial post. Dante Whitner, the former Glenville star, Ohio State star, and was pretty damn good in the NFL. He laid the wood. That's one of my favorite sayings, and nowadays you don't really get to say it a whole lot because it's not really out there a whole lot because the rules have changed a whole lot. But Dante Whitner, he made you know, he let you know that he was in the neighborhood. And Dante Whitner just happens to be in the news a little bit lately, and I didn't know it. We were scheduled to talk to him. It was actually over the summer through a mutual friend, and he was actually going to be flying into Cleveland, and that had to get canceled. And then I thought, you know what? I'll reach out to him, see, I know he's busy. He does a lot of college football work. He does, obviously, NFL work, that's where he said Dak Prescott sucks. That was on NBC Sports Bay Area. So he was actually, I don't want to make an excuse, or he is what he is. I mean, he's always been a guy that has never shied away, whether it be contact or words. He said what I'm sure a lot of 49ers fans wanted to hear. It also rustled a lot of feathers elsewhere. It bothered a lot of folks. Tyreek Hill calling him out. Come on, he called him an old man. And I love how Dante responded, took a selfie where he's ripped, shredded, and he's like, does this look like an old man? He's beautiful. So we will be talking to Dante Whitner coming up in about 10 minutes or so. And believe it or not, had nothing to do with the comments made. I will ask him just because I'm kind of curious. Are the strays still coming? Has it died down a little bit? But we're really going to get into the 49ers, who, oh, by the way, are coming to town to take on the Cleveland Browns Sunday. They are 5-0, and I think, sometimes it's hyperbole. Sometimes you play it up in the media. But this Niners team right now as is, and it's scary because, again, 5 weeks in, I've said this before, I'll say it again, there is no team in football that their first month is going to be their best month because you just don't get a lot of stuff accomplished in the preseason. The new rules just prohibit that. So a lot of teams are finding their way through the first month of the season. Now, as we've said many times, it certainly helps when you have a core and a nucleus and, camaraderie and guys that are used to being around each other, and it doesn't take you long or as long to pick up on that stuff, kind of like riding a bike. But no team is just going to be blazing out of the gate. But then you watch the 49ers through 5 games. You watch them Sunday night against the Dallas Cowboys. And, I mean, we talk about the defense in large part because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for the Browns. And, again, Deshaun Watson did not practice yesterday. He did not talk to the media yesterday, and that's normally when he talks to them. He did not talk to them today. There's no word yet if he's going to practice today either. Kind of a wait and see. P.J. Walker, who they signed from the Bears, the veteran, if Deshaun can't go on Sunday, and I'm guessing that he won't be going on Sunday, but if he can't go on Sunday, it will be P.J. Walker instead of DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But the reason we talk about that a lot is because, and the defense a lot, is because, that could be an area where the 49ers just absolutely wreak havoc, as they did against the Cowboys. But here's the thing. You realize the 49ers in 5 games have yet to score below 30 points? Hey, by the way, they play offense pretty well also. I mean, they really are hitting on all cylinders just 5 weeks into the season. It's scary. I mean, it's scary. And they are coming to town. I believe I saw the line jump. It started out, I think it was 3.5 or 4.5, which I thought was, and this was, I think, Vegas thinking that Deshaun's going to play. And even then, I'm like, well, that seems generous. And then now it's up to 7 from our friends at Tipico. Might this game be off the table by the time it kicks? I don't know. I mean, I would think the Browns, even if they know now, and I'm totally fine with this. I think we all are. There is some gamesmanship. They will probably try to keep that hush-hush as much as they can. Only hopefully this time it won't be as hush-hush for everybody else on the Browns. It's one thing to be hush-hush to the media, hush-hush to the fans, hush-hush to the Baltimore Ravens. Let's not be hush-hush to the guys in your building and the teammates that, that's where it was kind of lost. The communication was lost on many folks, and quite frankly, it was a shock for many of those guys. Either way, I mean, I said this on Monday's show. I'll say it again now. I love the Browns. Yes, I want the Browns to win on Sunday. No, I don't think the Browns will win on Sunday. Now, that's week 5, or I should say week 6. Week 5, they had the bye, but this is their 5th game of the season. Does it mean the season's over? No. They've got plenty of time, and that's where now your focus is, okay, well, if Deshaun's going to miss the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers, and let's say the orthopedic surgeon that has been talked to by quite a few outlets, it says 2 to 6 weeks. Well, get healthy, and when you do get healthy, make sure you are healthy and ready to go, because I got news for you. You're going to be counted on quite heavily. And I still maintain that one of the reasons he might not be trying to play through this, I'm not doubting that functionally he doesn't have all his functions or faculties or whatever the word they're using out in Berea. I also think right now he is very hypersensitive to any criticism coming his way. And the idea of not performing well at home, in a big game, in a big spot, if he's not 100%, his years in Houston, he was pretty much able to walk on water. I mean, he was a great player, but he was beloved. Now everything has changed in his life. And this is where, I know I've said it ad nauseum, but this is where these guys, and Deshaun Watson is not a robot, and they have real feelings and they have real emotions. And right now, between the ears, regardless of what he says, yeah, I'm sure any normal person is going to be a little bit rattled. It doesn't matter if you play professional football. You're going to be rattled. Everywhere he goes, including his own town, his own city, as far as his team, he's not really beloved. And like I said, some guys can deal with that. Most guys, I don't think, like to deal with it. Some guys, very few, thrive in those situations. I don't think Deshaun Watson is one of them. And I think that is playing into a little bit of how much does he really want to push this thing. But we will talk to Dante Whitner, as I said, coming up here in a little bit. The Niners are just on an entirely different level than everybody else. Let me make sure that it's okay. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. See, this is at its best. See, we could have done this earlier, Bone, but I won't.
This is the peek behind the curtain.
We won't air any dirty laundry or anything. We won't say that. Bob, your hair, you're looking, did you use extra Brill cream today, knowing that Dante was in the house?
I don't know what it was, Chico. I combed it well today, I suppose.
Yeah, it's very, like, you've gone from the bushy, kind of, Cosmo Kramer look.
I have a little bit of a Jufro when it dries. Yeah,
me too. Yeah. But I mean,
it gets unmaintainable. I scheduled a haircut for next week.
Again, not me. Oh no, hey, I mean,
well, I did.
I'm the last guy that should be. I was actually, I kind of like, if you're gonna grow out the fro, really grow out the fro.
Yeah, I just don't want to reach man bun status. I don't. Not
you don't like Joakim Noah. You don't want to. You don't want to be walking down the street, even though you're not 6'11". You don't want to be walking down the streets.
I don't think I could do it, Chico.
There's Joakim Noah. That's it.
Right. I don't think I could pull it off.
We got fair or foul coming your way a little bit later. We've got a couple things we want to get to. Obviously, plenty of Browns. And when we get the latest on Deshaun Watson, we will pass that along. Interesting baseball playoffs last night. Oh my, Bryce Harper. How do you make up for getting doubled up to end a playoff game and losing a playoff game? You show up the next night and you hit 2 bombs and stare at Orlando Arcia. And I kind of feel a little bit bad for Orlando because he said it in the clubhouse, like, attaboy, Harper. And usually, granted, this is years ago before technology invaded our world, that was a sanctuary. And but you don't know who's got a phone rolling. You don't know who's, it's not just beat reporters you got to worry about. There can be just somebody hanging out there that you don't normally see. They've got a phone rolling, and there you go. But make no mistake, it got back to Bryce Harper. However it got back to Bryce Harper, it got back to Bryce Harper. And my, oh my, he hit, first of all, the first one was an absolute mammoth shot. Wow. And then the second one he hit, and he made a point to stare down Mr. Orlando Arcia. And so the Phillies have taken a 2-1 lead. And like Booney predicted yesterday on the show, it would be a berserk crowd if they were given the opportunity. Well, Bryce Harper gave them the opportunity.
Chico, he said there's no home field advantage. He said you have home field advantages, and then you have Phillies home field advantages.
Yeah.
And I think that was evident. Now, and Bryce also gave that gesture, like the cutting the throat gesture, when he crossed home plate. I wonder how the Braves will respond. I wonder if this is any sort of bulletin board material right back at them.
Not really, because, he's responding to what they did. I'm sure they didn't like the fact that, like I said, I think Orlando Arcia has, the only leg he has to stand on is, look, I said it in the clubhouse, but obviously he said it. The other thing, though, is they said he was laughing on the field. Like as he got doubled up and as he slipped, because remember, he passed second base, and that was kind of the big error. He passed second base, and then he tried to get back, and by the time he had tried to go back around, he basically fell and, got doubled up. But, you talk about, that's the stuff legends are made of. You know what I mean? When it comes to great ones, Bryce Harper, in that situation, in that moment, not only does it once, but does it twice. And the Phillies, Philly's not. What's the matter, Boom? You all right?
So yesterday, I think you accidentally unplugged the TVs that you have below you, and so now they just like restarted and they're showing the most random programming, and Dante's gonna get the top of the screen of some really random. I don't even know what that is.
Well, don't even. Yeah, you know what? I walked in earlier today. He says it's a video. I have to do it over the phone.
He can join without video.
Okay, then you got to here. Grab this phone, Boom. This is why you get here earlier, Boom. Oh man, are we able to use the number? If or just he's saying it's a video. Okay, so we're trying to hook up with Dante Whitner. He is actually en route to a production meeting. I think he's on the call for Utah's game on Saturday. So he has a production meeting that he's heading to. And we, again, appreciate him taking the time, busy schedule, and obviously there's a lot swirling around with all of the comments he made. But, again, he's a guy that this is just how he is. He's not going to hide from anything, certainly, but really wanted to get him, and we will hopefully be getting him and talking to him about the 49ers in depth, although it might be something that you want to cover your ears for, because I think the Niners, I heard somebody describe it as eye candy as far as what they're giving you, like even pre-snap and all the different aspects of what they bring. We got him? Boom, is that? No? Still trying?
I texted him waiting to hear back.
Okay. Well, there he is. I see that, I think. All right. Dante Whitner, first of all, Dante, is that you, buddy? We got you? Still.
I have to log on from another source. 1 second.
Okay. Again, Dante Whitner, the 11-year NFL veteran, 3-time Pro Bowler, Cleveland native, started at Glenville, and, of course, a star at Ohio State. Drafted 8th overall by the Buffalo Bills back in 2000 and what was that, 6? Gosh, I'm getting old. 2006. And then spent 2 seasons with the Browns in 2014 and 2015. We'll hook up with him whenever we can get the connection to work okay. Maybe we will get a camera. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, the Browns getting set to take on the 49ers. Deshaun Watson, if you're just tuning in, did not talk to the media yesterday, did not practice yesterday. Now, he's regularly scheduled to talk to the media on Wednesdays. He did not do that. He hasn't talked to the media yet today and apparently won't today. Will he practice? We don't know that either. I mean, this sounds like it's going to be another game-time decision. Fortunately, or at least we hope so, the Browns will be better prepared. Not only the coaching staff, his teammates. You know, we heard Joe Thomas say this after the game, and I think he was on NFL Network, and he said, "Look, I was at the walkthrough because remember he went into the Ring of Honor, and he said I was at the walkthrough on Saturday, and nobody said anything about the possibility of him not playing." So yeah, it came as a big surprise. So are you looking at PJ Walker? It's already going to be an uphill climb against a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who are cruising at 5-0. But now you're talking about having to start PJ Walker against them. Boom, how we looking with Dante? Is that yay, nay, thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe? Oh, there we go. That handsome young man on that screen. Look at that.
How you doing?
God, Dante, how you doing, man? I'm sorry if there was some confusion there to start. How you been?
It's okay. I just had to figure it out. I'm doing great. I'm out here in Logan, Utah. I'm calling the Fresno State-Utah State game tomorrow night on CBS.
Okay, Utah. I was wondering because at first I know Utah was playing on Saturday. So you got a Friday night game. I got to ask you, what do you make of, real quick? Let's start on with the college level since you're doing a little bit there. It's come out that now Fox may want to, well, not may, they do want to have a Friday night schedule for Big Ten college football. Ohio State, Penn State, I think Michigan and Iowa have all said we're not real big fans of it. We won't play at home on Friday nights. But how about the idea? I mean, you know how big it is here in Northeast Ohio and just this neck of the woods. They shouldn't have to be going up against Big Ten football, high school football. Am I right or wrong?
Well, I think nowadays the NFL, college football, high school football, it is all infiltrated every night of the week except Tuesday. And these networks are trying to figure out how to get as much football on TV without oversaturating the market. So, I really agree with it. I like Friday night football, whether it's college football or high school football. So I'm all with it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess here's my thing. Like, I feel bad because, I mean, who's going to win out in that situation? Obviously, Ohio State, if you're talking about here in Northeast Ohio. And, let's say Glenville's playing whoever, somebody's going to be like, man, I want to catch Ohio State. I feel bad for those high school kids. But, to your point, and you're right, it is all about the bottom dollar right now. And these companies, these big media companies, Fox being one of them, when they got the rights, and they had a lot to do with, I think, UCLA and USC, Washington coming over, this was part of their plan as far as paying some of those bills. So,
absolutely. But when you think about it, look at this here. With this, you can attend a high school game or a college game and then watch the other game on this little device right here, which is why the networks are going to games every day of the week, is because streaming has become so big.
Yep.
So this little device right here allows you to watch multiple games at once.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Dante Whitner, again, three-time Pro Bowler, Cleveland native, as we said, started Glenville, and, of course, also started Ohio State, 8th overall pick back in 2006 of the Buffalo Bills. All right, before we get to the Niners and Browns, and unfortunately I feel like this could be a bloodbath on Sunday, before we get to that, are you still catching strays from Sunday night comments?
I love it. It's a part of the job. When you speak how you really feel, when you write, because I didn't plan that. I didn't plan to say what I said about Dak. It just came out in the moment after watching a game and after playing in the NFL at such a high level and actually playing the position that guards what the quarterback does. So I can see it from a point of view that other people can't see it. And do I wish I'd take it back? No, I don't. But CBS, they did ask me not to use that verbiage. I agreed. So, I won't use it anymore, but I still feel the same.
Well, and that's what I said before we brought you on. I'm like, I don't think, because you've never really been a guy, and I mean this in a good way, a complimentary way. Even back when the NFL's, fining right and left and hit, you've never been one. If you believe in something or you want to say something, you're gonna say it. And the other thing that I thought of, Dante, immediately when I saw this, like, because I think some people said, "Oh, would he just say this like on ESPN?" You were speaking to, in this case, your audience was NBC Sports Bay Area, the post game. So you're talking to 49ers fans. Okay, other people are going to see it, but that 49ers fans are eating that up. They want to hear you say that about Dak Prescott.
Yeah, but I think when you think about even national exposure, so many times people want to say something, but they feel like other people are going to give them backlash for what they say, so they don't say it. And then that's where everybody starts to sound the same on TV, right? You start to go with what other people are saying and not your actual opinion and how you feel about a situation. If I'm a fan at home, I love a person that says how they actually feel, right? To get away from the norm. I've never been a person that wanted to follow the crowd. And when I signed on to take this job and to transition into media, I vowed to myself that I would always stay genuine and I would remain myself. So the way that I played on the football field, I would carry that over into my media career. So sorry if the players out there are a little overly sensitive nowadays. I'm talking about you as a football player not as a human being. As a human being, you might be the most upstanding human in the community, right? I love that. But as a football player, you weren't what you're paid. You didn't perform up to your capabilities.
Tyreek Hill knows you're eating Wheaties, by the way, because you ain't
Yeah.
no old man with that figure, bro. No way.
No. Oh man, I'm 38 years old. I think what Tyreek Hill will be 30 in a couple
You're
months.
still
If
ripped up.
you say I'm an old man because I'm 7 years older than you, it'll be up. It'll be here just like that, buddy. So watch your words.
Oh, boy. He is Dante Whitner. Spent some time here in Cleveland with the Browns, 11 years in the NFL. Of course, some great years also with the San Francisco 49ers. Let's go there. Dante, I've been saying, this past week and leading up to this game on Sunday, now in the NFL, the way it's constructed and the way, the CBA is, you just don't get a lot of work done in the preseason. So a lot of these teams, they're still feeling their way and getting their legs, conditioning, all that stuff the first month. However, there seems to be one team that is about 2, 3, maybe 5 miles ahead of everybody else, and it's playing out in your neck of the woods in the Bay Area, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. What is the secret right now that it just appears that they are so far ahead of everybody else in the league at that 5-0 start?
There is no secret. It's just work. It's the fundamentals of the game. It's wanting to be physical and tackle at a high level. It's wanting to block the person in front of you. And then it's the coaching staff. They're not some static offensive and defensive system like the Pittsburgh Steelers and a lot of these offense you look at, you're like, man, I've been looking at this for over a decade. Yeah, they're not modernizing what they do. And what Kyle Shanahan does better than any other offensive coach is a lot of motions and shifts that affect the communication and the discipline of your defenders. And then when you mix that with a lot of misdirection and all of these different trick plays, you get guys that get lost in that. And then continuity. A lot of these guys have been together for over 5, 6 years now, and they have grown with Kyle Shanahan and these coaches. And when you start to take the field and you believe that you're going to win every game and you believe in the offensive and defensive system, and all you have to do is go out there and execute your small piece, it becomes infectious. And that's what they have out there. They just have a bunch of old school football players that know how to play together, and then it's all psychological. Once you play the game at a high level and a physical level, there's not many teams that actually can match that type of intensity. So that's what they have, intensity and intelligence.
I heard one coach speaking on condition of anonymity, which we always love, said they throw a lot of eye candy at you, meant this in a good way, as far as like you were talking, the shifting, the motion and everything. Can you talk about, obviously you played that strong safety position, but just as a defensive player, what that is like when you're looking at, so many different things going pre-snap and then finally the ball's snapped and you've got to react?
Well, it's very difficult because in one instance, you get one guy that crosses the ball, whether it's a receiver or a tight end or a running back that shifts from the backfield, and a call can go from playing cover 2 to maybe an all-out blitz or a cover 1. It can go from an all-out blitz based on the formation to them shifting a tight end up on the ball to we're going back to playing man underneath, 2 safeties high. One guy misses in the communication, you have guys running wide open. And another thing that Kyle Shanahan and the personnel, the reason that they give teams issues is because everybody on their offensive system are interchangeable, meaning that all the guys, whether the fullback, tight end, or running back, can play every position. You can align Christian McCaffrey at slot, X, Z, fullback, running back, and he's going to perform at a high level. Deebo Samuel the same. Kyle Juszczyk the same. They can all catch the ball lining up at receiver and run the ball from the backfield. So on first and second down, when you have situations where you're going to play man or zone, if you have particular matchups for like Denzel Ward matching up on Brandon Ayuk, if Ayuk aligns at halfback, where does Denzel Burke align? Right? If he's matched up on Deebo Samuel and Deebo Samuel aligns at halfback, he doesn't know where to align. And then you put Christian McCaffrey out at the wide receiver position. You have a linebacker out there. We're confused. So to stop that confusion, defensive coordinators will say, okay, we're not going to play man on these downs. We're going to have to stay in zone so that we don't get confused. And now that simplifies your defense, allows the quarterback to get a clear view, and then Brock Purdy starts to do his thing. So it's the personnel, it's the philosophy, and then the mentality. And yeah, they're head above every team in the NFL.
See, and you brought up a very important point there about, and we know, and you know, obviously, that, you know, you got to have the talent, you got to have the horses. But kind of going on what you just said a moment ago, are you surprised that more teams don't try to do what San Francisco does? And like I said, I know you've got to have certain personnel, but are you surprised that they don't try to infiltrate what, you know, the Niners do on both sides?
They do. There's teams out there that try to draft a Deebo Samuel, but they can't find a guy with those characteristics. They want to draft a Brandon Ayuk, who's emerging as a top 10 receiver in the league right now. They want to go out and find a George Kittle in the 5th round, right? They can't. So, yeah, they try to, and there's a saying out there that says, yeah, you can copy the recipe, but you can't duplicate the sauce. It won't taste the same. So, and then Kyle Shanahan has had 20-plus years to be able to tweak it, right? Real live game action to where he has it down to, you know, flawlessness right now, the way that he calls the game and understands his team.
We're talking to Cleveland native and former NFL, 11-year NFL veteran, 3-time Pro Bowler, Dante Whitner, joining us here on the Chico Borman Show. Dante, I know that you are up against it, so if you give me a sign if you gotta leave and head to your production meeting, we're cool with that. As far as and okay, we're talking about all these other weapons, and now everybody's focused on the hot story on offenses. Man, yeah, you have McCaffrey, yeah, you have Kittle, but this Brock Purdy kid out of Iowa State, the one thing that I noticed in that Sunday night game, in addition to Dak Prescott not being too good, was that Brock Purdy he's poised and all that, but he's spreading the wealth. I mean, I think he hit like 7 different receivers, and it doesn't seem like that moment is too big. So you combine all of that, what we were just talking about, with a quarterback that just kind of gets it and has that ice water in his veins, that's a pretty lethal combination.
It is, and when you think about Brock Purdy, this is why drafting a quarterback, there is no correct science to getting it right. If they had to do a redraft over for that year, he would probably be the first quarterback off the board. And coming out of college, out of Iowa State, he was a 4-year starter. And not a lot gets mentioned about the preparation that goes in from being a starter from a freshman to a senior, from seeing different types of defenses, understanding the mannerisms of the individual players and coverages, and being able to take all of that information on a consistent basis and apply it on Saturdays to game day. That means something. That was the difference between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Trey Lance has started 12 games from high school to the NFL, and Brock Purdy has started over 70 games. You see? So when his opportunity came, it wasn't too big for him. And then when you add that with Kyle Shanahan and the dominant running game they have over there, all he really has to do is distribute the ball, because the offense is really a low-risk offense. A lot of times they try to allocate a lot of guys to stop the guys around him, and then he hits them with the big play. So he's shown versus the New York Giants, he can handle the blitz. With Wink Martindale and that elaborate blitz scheme, he showed that he knows how to replace the blitz with accuracy and anticipation. He's shown that he has deep ball accuracy. He's thrown that he can throw receivers open when they're in double coverage, and he can get the ball out quickly and accurate. That's everything you need from your quarterback position. So for the people out there that says he's just a game manager, you're not watching the film. And if you are, you truly don't understand what you're watching.
Dante, I want to go over to the other side of the ball now, and that's kind of the side of the ball that we're all fearing, because even with Deshaun Watson, I mean, this is still a dominant defense, but now it's looking like P.J. Walker could very well be the starter. This is where it gets kind of crazy. Like you've had 5 games, they're 5-0, and all 5 games they haven't scored less than 30. But then you look on the defensive side of the ball, and I know around here, Ohio State, we talk about Nick Bosa a lot. I think Fred Warner is probably one of the most unsung players in the entire league. What is it defensively now that, like, if you're if you're going up against the Niners, what are you saying you absolutely positively have to do if you have a chance against that D?
Well, you have to run the ball. You have to run the ball.
That's not good news for the
with
Browns.
a consistent clip. And if you can't run the ball consistently to really slow down those edge blitzers and defenders and the penetration that you're going to get from Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, and Hargrave, then you're pretty much dead in the water. Because if they get you into a third and obvious situation, they're starting to, just truly dominate offensive lines. And Bosa coming in, he started slow with the holdout. He's in game shape now, and he's due for a big one. 3, 4, 5 sack game. And it's looking like if they can't run the ball this week, this could be the game where Bosa explodes in the sack category. And the name of the game in football is affect the quarterback with as least amount of defenders as possible, make the secondary all look the same, keep everybody on the same page, be good with their mannerisms, and then tackle well with good angles after the ball, after the catch. And the 49ers do that better than anybody. So it's really taking the fundamentals and executing them at an extraordinary high level consistently over and over. And they're very opportunistic with the ball in the air as well. So yeah, it's not really looking too good for the Cleveland Browns this weekend.
I was going to say, Dante, give us an idea, obviously being involved not only with the Niners but also on the college level, and you've got Utah State tomorrow. Give us an idea from what you have seen, your takeaways watching the Browns through, for them it would be 4 games, 2-2.
Well, I think they have a really good defense, but then you have to look at the schedule and see who they face. And the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens beat them this weekend pretty badly. I don't know if they've faced any top offenses to really be like, okay, they're warranted where they're ranked as far as statistical categories on defense. Yes, they have Myles Garrett. They have Denzel Ward. They have a bunch of guys that fly around and play fast. But when you only have a few days, less than a week, to prepare for an offense that you normally don't see, with tons of motion shifts, great offensive players, I think it's going to be very difficult to game plan for all of that and be punctual and be where you're supposed to be and be able to disguise and all those different things. So I think they have a chance if their defense plays like the best defense in the league, they can possibly keep it close. If that defense doesn't play up to its capabilities, it could get ugly.
And obviously, you look at what they do offensively, as you've already touched on.
They got ugly last week.
Yeah,
I watched that entire game. The backup quarterback, the young rookie,
Dorian Thompson.
It was ugly, and it came a point in that game where Baltimore just started to just attack and feast. And if PJ Walker looks anything like that, it could possibly be another ugly one.
Last thing for you, buddy, and we appreciate your time. As far as Ohio State, I don't know how much you've been able to catch, but one thing that I knew I wanted to ask you was, like, I can remember when I was there in the mid to late 90s, and, you came a little bit after that, obviously, but guys like yourself, guys like, I remember Antoine Winfield, like, you weren't afraid to stick your nose in there and hit guys. Is that kind of a thing in the past just because of how the game has changed, the rules have changed, or is there still a place for guys to – look, I'm not saying you got to be reckless about it, but it just seems like the guys like yourself and Antoine and those physical guys are few and far between.
No, I think there's still a place in the game for physical mentality and, to really, defend every blade of grass. And even when I would get fined during my NFL days, they would throw the flag on the field. They would go back and review the play and then say, oh, he didn't leave with his helmet. He didn't launch himself. it just looked that violent on the field. So when I think about that and how much they tried to find me, they rescinded the fines. I think that that can potentially happen today in any level of football. You can hit somebody that hard, get your head out the way, put your shoulder in there, get right into the shoulder pad. You don't necessarily have to hit the helmet or the face mask. You can get into the shoulder pad, into the ribs, and they'll feel it. So it's all about lower body strength. It's all about acceleration, and it's all about contact courage. I think that a
I
lot of
love
guys
that.
are missing the contact courage nowadays. It's all about really looking cute, right? Your shoes, your socks, but that's why the 49ers are so good. They really play football the way football was designed to be played. And if you come, playing that little cupcake stuff, they're gonna wax you.
When you hit Pierre Thomas, did you feel that at all? Because it looked like you
No,
just kind of kept walking, like you were like, yeah, okay, we're good.
no, I didn't feel it. It felt like crumbling up a paper bag, right? Throwing it on the side of the road. That's how it felt. And then I saw the ball come out. I'm like, you know what? Let the guys clean it up. I did my job. I'm going to get some Gatorade on the sideline.
Oh man, Dante, I can tell you it's been a real pleasure being able to catch up with you, man, and certainly would love to do it again in the future. I think it's going to be, well, it's going to be interesting coming up on Sunday. Hey, real quick, why you had to be present for them to change that last name to Hittner? Is that what it
No, no,
was?
no. They wanted me to buy back all of the Reebok jerseys that had already been printed that said Whitner, and that was like 1.6 million. And then everything that was legally in my name, legally binding,
Yeah.
I would have to go through and take the W off and resubmit everything. So when I heard all of that, I'm like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, because the NFL, I mean, they are hurting. They would need every cent of that from you to.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
see,
Dante, thank you, man. I know you got plenty of work to be done today and getting ready for your game with Utah State, and then of course Sunday as well. We'll hope to do this again in the future, pal. Thank you very much.
all right. Thank you. You have a great day. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is again Dante Whitner joining us, the 11-year NFL vet. Contact courage, right? I actually wrote that down and underlined
I
it
did mark it.
3 times. Contact courage. Guys don't have contact courage, and when you watch him hit Pierre Thomas,
How about that analogy?
it crumbling a paper bag.
Crumbling up a paper bag. Amazing.
That was so vicious, and he just like the reason I ask is because as soon as like they make contact, usually both guys, even if one's still standing, he's a little wobbly or whatever. Honestly, it was like another play. He just kept walking. He's like, yep. And then he, like he said, there's a loose ball. You guys can take care of that. I'm going to go get some Gatorade. All right, we're going to get real and talk about this game coming up on Sunday. I said as much on Monday. I think it's even more so now. This could be very ugly. We'll talk about what Dante had to say, what the Browns have to do to be able to keep this thing close, possibly win it. We'll talk about that when we come back. More of the Chico Borman Show on this Thursday, right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back. Chico Borman Show on this Thursday. Great talking to Dante Whitner, the Cleveland native. Interesting to hear what he said about the high school football versus college football. The Big Ten, if you're just tuning in, Tony Petitti, the new commissioner of the Big Ten, came out and said that, yeah, as soon as next year, you're probably going to have about 9 games from the Big Ten on Friday nights. And Dante said, yeah, I mean, and again, he's from this area. He knows how important it is. I still hate the fact that high school football would go against that. But I don't know. Maybe it isn't as much because you can stream and you can, you can go to a high school game and still have it on your phone. I thought that was nice how he demonstrated that, held the phone up. Are people okay with that? Do they like to have a separate celebration? Here's the thing though. We have to change, I guess. I mean, everything else is changing in our world. So I don't want to be too nostalgic or anything, but like we've gone from like rivalries being completely dissipated, not Ohio State, Michigan, but rivalries not meaning anything to like now high school football has to compete with the Big Ten, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. All right. If you'd like to get in contact with the show at Chico Show CLE, you can also do so on YouTube comments as well. The YouTube show, Chico Borman Show. Hit subscribe if you are not subscribed already. So the defense is going to have to play extremely well for the Browns to have a chance. He's right. I think in addition to that, when we say extremely well, what does that mean? Well, I think immediately you say they've got a low point total and all that. You're gonna try to force a guy in Brock Purdy that, and this is a Dallas. By the way, that Dallas defense that he carved up on Sunday and they carved up on Sunday, that Dallas defense was the number 1 scoring defense in the league. And they had 0 turnover. I take that back. Christian McCaffrey lost 1. He had a fumble. But, like, in terms of picking off Brock Purdy, they just – it's almost like – and I've heard this with Kansas City as well. Not as much now because it was a lot when they had Tyreek Hill. Like, you're constantly – you've got guys in motion. You're changing eye levels. Your guys are constantly wondering, like, where these guys are at. Pre-snap, and then by the time the ball is snapped, you're left to, react, in a second. And if they're one step ahead of you, which they usually are, which is also why they're 5-0, one of the reasons, you're cooked. And it's very similar. And I think now, and you'll hear a lot of people talk about this. I know Nick Shook, NFL.com, who joins me on Tuesday for the Bold Ball Breakdown, has said it, that they've always been a team that they're going to stretch you sideline to sideline. Like you better have speed. You better have those hybrids that everybody talks about these days that you got to have to be able to defend every edge of grass, every blade of grass from sideline to sideline. But now they've got Ayuk as a deep threat. And he's a guy that they have liked for a couple of years now. He had an injury, and then him coming back wasn't necessarily smooth, and Kyle Shanahan wasn't happy with him. But now, I mean, that is a dangerous group of receivers. And then, all of a sudden, the guy that just woke up is George Kittle. And I don't want to say just woke up, but he's been hampered with injuries. He sure as hell looked good on Sunday. And when you talk about guys, when he says interchangeable, and you talk about guys that don't have to come off the field, that is very important. You know why? And I know that the Atlanta Falcons have issues with their quarterback position. Desmond Ridder played a little bit better last week. But a lot of people are saying, oh, Kyle Pitts, he just can't, he can't really succeed without a good quarterback. Okay, part of that's true. The other part is Kyle Pitts does nothing else but catch passes. Now, in some offenses, that's okay, but I think in the majority of them, you want your tight end. Like David Njoku, I'll say this. David Njoku, he's a very good blocker. I think an underrated blocker. He's gotten better since his rookie year. But a guy like George Kittle, he'll maul people, and then he'll score 3 touchdowns on you. This is going to be I don't have to I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. If the Browns win on Sunday, I will be shocked doesn't even begin to cover it. Okay? I am of the mindset, and I think many of you probably should prepare for it as well, that Deshaun Watson's not going to play. I feel better about having P.J. Walker than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and that's not to say that, oh, my God, P.J. Walker is light years ahead as far as talent. It's not that, but from an experience standpoint, but even still, it's P.J. Walker against a defense that I it's tough. And then what did Dante say? As soon as he said it, and I knew exactly what he was going to say, because I heard him say this about the Dallas game, in addition to what he said about Dak Prescott, which is hilarious. He said, Dallas, they didn't run the ball in that game, and they couldn't run the ball in that game, and they have Tony Pollard, and it didn't matter. Okay, and Kansas City, yeah, when they get ahead of you, certainly you're playing right into their hands. Guys like Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, they don't need any added incentive to print their ears back and just come firing off the ball at you. But when they get a lead and they know what you're going to be doing, or have a pretty good idea of what you're going to be doing because of time constraints and the scoreboard, makes life really, really easy for them. It makes life hellacious for your offensive line. But when he said the Browns are going to have to run the ball, can they do that on Sunday? I don't know. I mean, this is with Nick Chubb. Okay, this is one of those games. I guess you could say it every game, but no, this is one of those games where you have Nick Chubb, you feel a lot better because you're gonna be able to use that aggressiveness against them, just like they're gonna try to do with the Browns. They don't dress it up as nicely as the 49ers do. But Nick Chubb is, he's going to gas you a few times. Maybe he even breaks a couple. He has some explosive plays. How many explosive plays did Dallas have in that game against San Francisco? I believe only 1. I mean, that's mind-boggling. 42-10. That's supposedly a good football team. Overrated because it's Dallas. And because, if they start out well and they have a good game, everybody thinks they're a, Super Bowl champion when it comes to the big networks. But that's still a good football team, and San Francisco just wasted them. This is going to be ugly. I almost
might be worth taking the 49ers to cover.
Yeah, I don't. That's what's funny. I mean, the line is now jumped, as it should, because it's looking more and more like Deshaun won't play. But I don't even know if it'll be on the board by the time this one kicks off on Sunday. This could just be off because, what do you set it at? Right now, you could set it at double what it is now, which I think it's at 7. You could put it at 14. I mean, okay, the 49ers haven't had a game yet where they've scored less than 30. Their point totals, offensive point totals are, 30, 30, 30, 35, 42. Yeah. 30 to beat the that's right, the Steelers, they scored 30 to 7, 30 to 23. That was their closest game of the season against the Rams. The Giants 30 to 12, Arizona 35 to 16, and then Dallas 42 to 10.
Do you believe in the possibility of teams peaking too soon? Do you believe in that being a thing?
Not these guys. And the only reason I say that is because I think they're too well coached. Now, again, with them, the only thing that's going to hurt them, and they do have legitimate, everybody has injury concerns, okay? I mean, I realize that. But they do have guys that you fear, like Christian McCaffrey. He stayed healthy last year, but he's, what if the injury bug bites again? George Kittle had the 3-touchdown game, but again, he's been quiet for a while because, well, he's been hurt. Brandon Ayuk, another guy that we know for the past couple of seasons it was, the hamstring and whatever. So, but I think I just don't see them really slowing down. And like you heard Dante say, and he's a straight shooter. He's a Clevelander and all that, and I'm sure he'd love to see the Browns do well. But like he said, like they're just on a different level, not only from a talent standpoint, but a coaching standpoint. And that's where that coaching standpoint, and then the guys that you do have, this is where that veteran leadership comes in, and guys that are there, like, what now, what, Bohm? Well, what are you laughing at? Go ahead.
I'm distracted
by the TV. All right, let me just explain what's going on here. So I came in earlier than Bohm. We'll just leave it at that. Much earlier than Bohm. I opened the door, and normally there's like either our shows, like Fontana, myself, or Reflog, Cribs, Josh and Maria. Somebody's on there on the screen. I walked in, and I'm not gonna lie, I walked in and there was a couple wrestling, a man and a woman, like it was a soap opera, wrestling on a bed. They weren't heavily clothed, I'll say that. They weren't naked. But they were close. And I'm like, is this about to be a porno? No. Like, what's going on here? So what is going on? Like, what? Why?
It looks like this TV is one TV is showing like crime and like medical emergency show.
Which is why. See, Bohm, you are.
It was a Wolf Films production. I just saw.
You are so easily distracted. I know that.
The other one is showing the Fear Zone channel.
I didn't even know there was.
Yes,
a Fear
Dante
Zone.
got like a glimpse of like the top third of the screen, whatever was on there.
Yeah.
But the TV's reset yesterday.
You blamed me. How do you know that I unplugged it?
When you unplugged your computer charger, these two TVs went black. And then
what does my computer have to do with these two TVs?
I don't know. I assume it's on like the same 9-volt thing, or what? Not 9-volt, but like whatever you plugged it into.
They
I don't know.
both run in the same 9-volt battery. Yeah.
Maybe it's a coincidence, but they went out the exact moment that you were unplugging your laptop charger.
Shouldn't I just have a remote?
There's a master remote. I just don't know where the box.
And there's probably a good reason that you don't have the remote. Because if you had the remote,
well, it's right there. I could just grab it.
Well, I don't.
But you don't want me. Yeah, I don't.
No,
I shouldn't wield that sort of power.
Well, even like when somebody walks by and like sometimes just inevitably if they wave, I'll kind of do this. You immediately like you're like trying to. What's going on? Did I miss anything? Huh? What's everybody doing out there? Like, you don't need to see everything.
What's all the commotion?
What you could do is you could get here early enough, and then you can get all that out of your system before the show actually starts. But that's a whole nother subject. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, I'm curious as to thoughts on this. I'm not taking as much heat. I took a lot of heat on Monday because on Monday's show I came out and said I think they're going to get their asses kicked. I'm not taking as much now. And by the way, it doesn't mean the season's over, but it's where the 49ers are at right now, and it's where the Browns are at right now. And even if Deshaun was here, they're still not where they need to be, but he's probably not going to play. So I think it's going to be a woodshed beating. I hope not. Obviously, I took a lot more heat on Monday when I said that than I am now, which leads me to believe that some of you are just kind of, well, it might be inevitable. It might be inevitable. So we'll continue to talk about that. Get your thoughts on it. Some more things to get to. Baseball playoffs, as I said to start. How do you make getting doubled up to end a playoff game? How do you just erase that memory? You do what Bryce Harper did last night. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when we come back, fair or foul with the giddy one. The guy that he can't the attention span just isn't there. Hopefully he has enough to get through fair or foul. It's coming your way next. The Chico Borman Show right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back, Chico Borman Show on this Thursday afternoon. We'll get to fair or foul here in just a moment. But, folks, if you need bet credits for football season, we all do. The Big Play Network is presented by our friends at Tipico Sportsbook. The Tipico Sportsbook app has your traditional bets like the money line, spread, and point totals, but you can also lock in player props and check out our Big Play boosts every single week to back your favorite Cleveland teams and athletes with the best odds in Ohio. And by the way, the Cavs are now back in action preseason. They got a home game tonight. So, yeah, that includes the Cavaliers. Get in the action. Load up for football season using promo code BIGPLAY150 or Chico150 to get $150 in bet credits on us, plus a $30 dog pound bet. Bet with the Big Play crew all season long with Tipico Sportsbook. All right. Let's see if Bohm has enough attention span to get through fair or foul. How you doing, Bohm? By the way, are we going to do, I think tomorrow we do role play again. I guess you were better yesterday. Well, I'll reserve judgment. Go ahead. Fair or foul now. Let's see what you got.
All right, Chico. Well, I want to start in Denver, where it feels like fire sale is looming. First off, there were rumors of receivers, both Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton being on the market. Garrett Bowles, offensive tackle, reportedly disgruntled. And then also you have on the other side of the ball, defensive lineman Frank Clark, who is the latest to reportedly be on the market. It sounds like he took some kind of they tweaked his contract. He's taking less money, and he's not going to play for them, and they're going to look for a trade partner or cut him. So with that said, Chico, fair or foul, the Browns need to get in and capitalize on this fire sale, either by getting, I'm not going to say Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton, but I think you need Garrett Bowles could potentially be an upgrade, or even Frank Clark just to bolster that D-line.
Okay, let me ask you this, because this is I don't disagree. Like, of all of them, yeah, Garrett Bowles right now, and sorry, Jed, but Garrett Bowles right now definitely comes to mind. Like, I've heard they want, this is just what I've heard, they'd like a first-round pick for Jerry Jeudy, a second-round pick for Cortland Sutton. Garrett Bowles, I'm guessing that's easily a one or a two. Like, where are the Browns getting these picks from? They already don't have a lot of picks from the Deshaun situation. And you're going to have to pay these guys. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Some of them, I don't know what the contract situation is, so before I put my foot in my mouth. But this is where the draft capital, and this is where, like, when we talk about Deshaun, and I'm one that always says, $230 million, and it's easy to look at the money. Believe me, right now, more than ever, is when I'm going, wow, 3 number ones. And so we need to start saying that. Your 3 number ones quarterback. I don't know what it's going to take to get those guys. So, yeah, I mean, I know Andrew Berry. We all know Andrew Berry is at least kicking the tires on it. But the reality is they're not just going to give them away. The Browns just don't have a lot of capital.
I imagine that Frank Clark is probably the cheapest, like the one that will go for the least, because they're considering releasing
Cleveland
him.
native.
Yeah.
Maybe a home. No.
No, but I do agree now. There's always the potential to leverage with a player, or if it doesn't pan out like as quickly as the Broncos would have liked, perhaps they would eventually adjust their asking price. I personally, if I'm the Browns, I'm not content with this current offensive line. You know, I have my qualms.
Well, we all do. Yeah, nobody's happy with it.
I feel like something needs to be done because Deshaun is not going to last the season.
Yeah, I just don't know what you're. I mean, it sounds good, but again, this is where it's not a video game and it's real life, and they want real life capital. Like, you can't. Can I just trade you in Madden and give you a Madden 2027 cover? No, it doesn't work that. And here's the other thing. I don't doubt, Denver does make a lot of sense. There's been a lot of noise about Minnesota, and I get with Minnesota and Kirk Cousins, but Minnesota normally is a team, Albert Breer was saying this, and I agree with him, not that they wouldn't, but they treat their veterans very, very well. Like, very rarely are they just going to, like Dalvin Cook, when he moved on, you didn't hear him badmouth in Minnesota. With Denver, it makes total sense because, again, Sean Payton, and he's going to lean on that a little bit, like, oh, these aren't my guys. I inherited these guys. These aren't my guys. So, yeah, I think they definitely will have a fire sale. I just don't know how much the Browns can get involved.
All right, Chico, well, over to college ball now, where I saw it was announced yesterday that coming up in the 2024 season, Fox will be having 9 Friday games to kick off their Fox Friday.
You heard us talking about this earlier, right?
Oh, you talked about that with Dante? I missed that.
We opened. That's how we opened it.
Oh, and that was still. I'm trying to get the shot set up at that point.
That's all right. Yeah. No. Go ahead, because it is something I'm going to get back in. Remember, I said Fox, and you really sometimes.
I was trying to get the camera.
Well, no. Even when I went to break, I said, we're going to discuss this high school. Go ahead. It's all right, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know what that meant. Okay.
It's all right.
Now I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. So, fair or foul? Do you agree with this? With the Big Ten playing frequently?
No, I don't. Okay. Foul. I don't like it. I understand it. As Dante was saying, and look, we all know it's about the bottom dollar, but Fox, if you go back when they, Fox had a lot to do with getting USC and UCLA, and I know some people are saying, well, we didn't want those guys anyway. Well, it was going to happen. But Fox had a lot to do with those leverage plays, and then part of that was, okay, they are hell-bent on forming like their entire weekend, but Friday night football is going to be a big thing for them. What I think is interesting, and I think they would honor this, like this is where if Ohio State's going to play, but again, that their schedule, if Ohio State is going to play Oregon, it's going to be on a Friday night. If Michigan or Iowa or Penn State is going to play, Washington or USC or UCLA, it's going to be on a Friday night. Those are the 4 schools. And I'm curious how much will Fox enforce? How much will the Big Ten give them pushback, or at least those teams give them pushback? I mean, Michigan has said they will not play on Fridays, period. Ohio State, Penn State, and Iowa have all said, we'll play on Friday nights if you make us, but we won't play at home on a Friday night. Meaning, change time, whatever. I don't like it. I mean, I know I'm kind of old school and, set in my ways. But, I mean, high school football, there's some areas high school football is not a big deal. There's some areas that it's a religion, and this is one of them. Texas and Western Pennsylvania, state of Ohio, I mean, entire state of Pennsylvania. But, I don't like it, but I think it's just inevitable. I'm curious to see how much pushback they get from those big 4 on what they will and won't do. Like Ohio State, Iowa, and Penn State have sworn we're not playing home games on a Friday night. We'll see.
Yeah, certainly something to watch for. But with that said, Chico.
Yes, Bo, yeah. Something to listen for, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're dead on with that.
You never
one,
know
Chico.
what you might hear when you listen to the show.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, because I saw some comments that I found questionable out of a former, I think he was a teammate of Dante Whitner, Richard Sherman.
He was. Yep.
Yeah, talking about Cowboys receiver CeeDee Lamb. Now, Cowboys obviously coming off a rough week after that loss to the 49ers. But with that said, he basically said that he doesn't belong in the conversation with guys like Justin Jefferson or Stephon Diggs or Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown.
Terry McLaurin.
That's a name that he threw out there. Now, he did say that he's more in a category of a wide receiver, too, with guys like T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, and Brandon Ayuk, which Ayuk I thought was interesting as well, because that guy
I think he's too. McLaurin is more, and I love Terry McLaurin. He's a Buckeye, but I don't put him in the same class.
I feel like he's being restrained by just that organization. Poor quarterback play. They haven't really seen to get their personnel
if
together.
He was a Michigan guy, you wouldn't be saying that.
He and Curtis Samuel, they flash every year. They have their moments.
Now Curtis Samuel's tier 1?
I'm not saying Curtis Samuel's tier 1. I'm just saying he makes plays.
Okay, so is it fair or foul that he puts CeeDee Lamb?
No, I think fair or foul. Do you think CeeDee Lamb is an elite wide receiver?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's another one where if you want to talk about quarterback play, Dak is not the same Dak. CeeDee Lamb's a baller, I think. By the way, what is your infatuation with Richard Sherman? Because wasn't it last week you were like, fair or foul, Richard Sherman calling out Mikey Malone? That's what prompted the role play.
The inspiration behind it all.
Yes, was
the foundation
Chico,
of inverse fair or foul.
Richard Sherman calling out Mikey Malone.
I think it's just the fact that he says things that I disagree with, and I'm like, wait, I'm not the only one here, right?
Yeah, the CeeDee Lamb, I'd put now, that doesn't mean that I think CeeDee Lamb is as good as Justin Jefferson or Stephon Diggs, but is he in that class, put him on the lower end of tier 1? Absolutely. He's not a tier 2 guy. No way. You're telling me Tyler Lockett is just as dangerous as CeeDee Lamb? No way. And Tyler Lockett's good, but he's not CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I remember CeeDee Lamb coming out at, he was so good at Oklahoma. Oh, yeah. I think he still makes plays in Dallas. Just, I've had him on various fantasy squads throughout the
Now
years.
we're getting to the crux of the argument. Bohm's got an issue with his fantasy production. Well, get in line. Devontae Smith with the A.J. Brown. I'm blaming all of my fantasy struggles right now on A.J. Brown stealing targets from Devontae Smith.
By the way, my team is called Violence of the Lambs. Yeah, just saying. But I digress.
in honor of C.D. Lamb.
Yes.
To the Lamb.
Yeah. So Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce have that podcast that they host.
New Heights. Yeah,
the New Heights podcast.
Yeah.
And Jason Kelce, of course, with the Eagles, who at this point seem notorious for what they have dubbed as the tush push, right? Which seems kind of unstoppable, and it's become controversial in that a lot of people want to ban it. And Jason Kelce went as far as to say on his podcast that players are going to start faking injuries as a way to make a case against the tush push. Now, first off, Chico, let me ask you fair or foul. Do you think that it should be banned?
No, I don't think it should be banned. I mean, it is kind of... See, I think if you're going to ban something, I mean, you're taking a huge step. I don't think it's in any way like undermining the integrity of the game or something like that. Here's the bottom line. You know what Philly does better than anybody, and in particular Jason Kelce? Get low. That's basically what the tush push is. He gets lower than everybody else. And yeah, I mean it looks strange too. But I mean, it's a threat for Philadelphia. If you have a guy like Kelce, who even at his age can still technically get as low as any offensive lineman in the game, and then you have Jalen Hurts behind him, yeah, I mean, that's it. So, I don't think it should be banned.
Now, do you buy Jason Kelce's theory that players might start faking injuries as a means to sort of inspire the banishment?
Any way that you can get, especially down there, because it's 6 points. So, I mean, if it's going to help a team avoid that, I mean, they fake injuries for, trying to slow down offenses and all of that sort of thing. So, yeah, if there's an advantage to be had in any way, shape, or form, teams will identify it, teams will use it. So, yeah, I think Kelce's dead on with that.
Well, moving on in the NFL, Chico, I want to ask you about C.J. Stroud, because he's got this streak going, right, with pass attempts without an interception. He's currently at 186, which is the most all-time for NFL rookie quarterbacks. Now, the all-time record for quarterbacks in general, Chico, is 211, currently held by Kyler Murray. That would mean that C.J. Stroud would need to complete 26 more passes in order to break this record.
Of course, you did the math on that, yes.
Fair or foul, Chico, C.J. Stroud will set the record for the all-time record for most passes without an interception.
So who was Kyler Murray? Well, you know what? I'd also have to look at let me look at Houston's schedule, and then let me get back to you.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
C.J. Stroud, and by the way, I absolutely love the fact that people, it's not, and I don't mean to crap on Bryce Young, because I also think people are really going overboard with him the other way. He's 5 games into his NFL career. These owners, and then, of course, David Tepper, he absolutely had to have, I'm still convinced Frank Reich likes Bryce Young, and I really do believe that. But remember when that report came out about he's never had a quarterback under us? He's really, really small. That doesn't mean he can't succeed, but Reich has never. I remember somebody from Indianapolis, the media, saying he has talked about that many times about how he always loves himself a bigger quarterback.
Also, do you remember what I believe it's his offensive coordinator, Josh McCown, former Browns quarterback?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he muttered to C.J. Stroud during C.J.'s workout in Columbus? He said they were talking about playing basketball together. Josh McCown says to him, "It's picked up on camera. We'll find a court in Charlotte." Right? I really think that coaching staff wanted C.J. Stroud, and Tepper stepped in and meddled.
McCown can hoop. Oh, he is a ridiculous athlete.
Yeah, right? Tepper prevented us from getting the McCown versus Stroud epic one-on-ones.
Yeah, I just think Frank Reich, and man, I don't know how he went. I love how he went about that, though. He's like, well, I mean, those meetings aren't fun, but they make me better. You have an owner that meddles. It's why he shouldn't. No owner should meddle. They shouldn't. That includes the Browns. That includes everybody. But, yeah, I would say here, I just got this, Boom. Do you know who the Texans are playing, granted, at home this week?
Sounds like a tough opponent.
Yes, Boom, you would be right with that.
It's not the 49ers, at least.
No, but it's the New Orleans Saints. And them boys pick some passes off. Them boys play some defense, too. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say he throws a pick this weekend.
I know, especially because I brought it up. Knock on wood. I feel like
you did jinx him.
I put the kibosh on him, Chico.
But you just had to find something to talk about with C. But I'm fine with that because I love the fact that
he's really exciting. One of the most exciting storylines in the NFL right now.
I love that he's shutting everybody up. You know, the other thing that's getting underplayed in that, because like people are like, oh, he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. Dude, Nico Collins is a good wide receiver. Tank Dell is one of the better rookies. Like, I'm not saying that they're established stars like other teams have.
Now, you might not have Dell this week, which might be...
Yeah.
They don't think he's going to be ready.
New Orleans is going to be tough. If he gets through New Orleans, I say yes.
I am excited for that matchup, though, because obviously on the other side of the ball, Olave and Thomas, two electric wideouts.
At Carolina... Oh. So they're home to the Saints and then at Carolina.
I'm looking forward to that Carolina matchup. Just Stroud versus Young.
You'll have your Stroud jersey on. Yeah.
You know I will, Chico.
Yes.
Well, anyways, I want to shift gears to the diamond here for a moment.
Yeah.
Where the Dodgers got swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Another 100-win season down the tube. Fair or foul, this is kind of a two-parter, but I'll start it off here. Fair or foul, the Dodgers need to move on from Dave Roberts.
Foul. I don't think it's a Dave. I mean, here's the thing. When you're pitching, think about this. Lance Lynn gave up 4 home runs.
After taunting.
You want to talk about whiplash, but he gives up 4 home runs. We know what Kershaw wasn't able to do. We know what Bobby... Miller wasn't able to do. So they didn't pitch well. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman combined for 1 hit. What? Like, that's not on Dave Roberts. I mean, your guys got to show up. They got to play. They've got to execute.
Give them better pep talks.
No, that's not on. So yeah, totally foul. It's moving on from Dave Roberts. What's the second part of it?
Well, that kind of dampers the second part, but I was going to say, in a theoretical world, Chico, fair or foul, if Roberts were available, the Guardians would immediately, they should be his top, he should be their top choice.
Oh, he should be amongst them. Yeah, I don't know who they're seriously looking at, but yeah, I think Dave Roberts is a good manager. I think Anthony Castrovitz, I'm going to give Castro a shout out. Wrote a great piece on the Dodgers and just how, I mean, these seasons, they they won it in 2020, I believe. Was it 2020 or 2021 when they had the pandemic and everything? But, like, they have – that's where you say context is a big deal. Like the Baltimore Orioles, successful season, yes. L.A. Dodgers, no. And no, because you not only lost – you got your asses kicked by Arizona, who, good for them. They won 84 games, but, like, the Dodgers didn't do anything well. They pitched like crap, and then Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, all those guys just kind of, like, laid an egg. Now they're waking up like, hey, we got a game today? No, dude, you're making tea times. You guys are out. That's crazy. That's crazy.
All right, Chico, well, the last one I got for you today. So the University of Pittsburgh is implementing for their football program the opportunity for the airing of grievances, right? So they've laid out a jar, and they said, if you have a grievance that you'd like to air, write it on a note, put it in the jar.
Will there be a poll involved?
I don't know. I just know that the staff...
Festivus. Happy Festivus, Georgie.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what it is, Chico. Like, I couldn't think of a better way to describe it.
They're actually calling it
No,
airing
they're not, but that's literally what it is.
Oh, well, I mean, you ruined it. I thought they were actually calling it.
That's what I'm calling it, because that's what it is.
So it's a suggestion box is basically what it is.
Yeah. I want to ask you, fair or foul, Chico, do you buy this as a good, I guess, a good method to implement strong culture for a football team.
Yes, but I would say that even better would be you just talk it out. Like, you can write about it, but I think in that, like, if you I can't believe it. Actually, I'm going to go the other way because I kind of just talked my way. The idea that you would write it and then, because then people are going to be wondering, like, oh, who wrote? Just air it out. You know, it should be a family atmosphere. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so good. But the airing of grievance, if you're going to do that, then yeah, you've got to do it all. You got to go all in with Seinfeld. How about George? Good thinking, Cougar. Cougar, you couldn't iron a silk shirt if you had a hot day. I lost my train of thought. Wow, Pitt's really doing that, huh?
They even they decorated it out like it's got this long, tall blue column, Pitt theme color, and then it's a blue vase, right, with the Pitt logo on it.
Do they put their names on it, or they just anonymously?
You can put your name on it if you want, but it can also be anonymous.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. That's foul. That's foul.
And that is it for today's Fair or Foul.
Thank God. Anyway, if we had a suggestion box, what would be a suggestion? I would put in the suggestion box anything to get Bohm here on time. Because I've tried everything.
To be fair, we did start on time today at least. So at least I have that
There's
going
a difference between starting on time and there's chaos, right? The making of the sausage, as they say. So, I don't want to be taking messages from Dante Whitner while I'm on the air. This is an airing of the grievances, by the way. While I'm on the air trying to, he can, that should all be ironed out well before Bohm. And would be, now, what do I have to say? Like, Lana Del Rey's here at 11:15. Bohm you would race here at 9:30. What? Hey, hi, Lana. Hey, want to go play the guitar? Want me to sing one for you? I don't know. What do I have to do? Because I passed you. We live in the same neck of the woods, all right? I passed you the other day, and I said, now, I'm not claiming I could be a better driver, but you were...
Driving like an old man?
You were really slow. Which that's fine. I mean, I don't want to critique your driving. I can't because I'm not the best in the world. But if you're going to drive that slowly, you better leave Beechwood or wherever the hell you dwell, 45 minutes before you got to be here. Great thinking, Cougar. I love that episode. Festivus might be... I like Festivus because it's kind of like, this is like Kruger Industrial Smoothing. That's what this is. Who said they were going to do some work today? I'm not too worried about it. Thanks, fanboy. All right, we'll take a break. We come back again. How do you make up for getting doubled up to end a playoff game? Well, Bryce Harper has exactly what you need to do and then some. We'll talk about that. And get back to the Browns. Deshaun Watson. Is he going to practice today? Forget that. Is he going to play on Sunday? Probably doubtful. More on that on the way. It's the Chico Borman Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back. Chico Borman Show here on this Thursday. Boom, did the guy on the gurney in that on set TV one, did he make it? He was in bad shape when we walked in. He had looked like he had some oxygen, and they were working on him in the back of the ambulance.
I didn't see this most recent one. I was too caught up in fair or foul.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, Boom, but I with that writer's strike, remember I was wondering about the fall. It's not going to happen until summer. So all of
that's a significant delay.
Yeah, all of those like Hank Voight and Liv and Elliot and all, yeah, it's going to be. They're saying all the Dick Wolf productions are going to be.
Well, at least it's still happening. But yeah, longer wait.
But it's going to be summer, that's going to be really weird.
NFL offseason.
Yeah.
Just trying to be positive.
Maybe they plan the NFL strike.
That glass is definitely half full.
See what I have to deal with every day, kids. Wow, Chico, you got a really cool job. Some days, yeah. Folks, you can catch us on iHeartRadio. Download the iHeart app. Search Big Play under live radio and then listen. The Matt Fontana Show. My buddy Fontana. Not to be confused with Fontana, 9 a.m. to 11. The Chico Borman Show. Not to be confused with the Chico Borman Show. Noon to 2. What, Boom? What? You're going to butt in and say something stupid, probably. Go
Matt
ahead.
Montana.
All Big Play shows, stream replays throughout the day. It's my fault. Why did I ask him? We're also on TV. That's right. Bally Sports Great Lakes, Bally Sports Ohio, the Hanford-Dixon Show, The Return with Josh and Maria Cribbs, and the Bobby Carpenter Show with Anthony Schlegel. By the way, Buckeyes taking on Purdue this week. We'll talk to Bill Landis on the show tomorrow. And, of course, find all of our shows live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, on-demand shows on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also check out bigplay.com for our latest merchandise offers and Tipico Big Play Boost. Here it comes, kids. The Big Play Network. Where you want it, how you want it, when you want it. I'm not too worried about it. The new way of enjoying entertainment. Wow. Baseball playoffs. So yesterday was the last day of having 3 games in a day, at least 3 games in a day, until spring training. And really, really awesome stuff. Now, first of all, the Astros are the Astros, right? 7 consecutive ALCS. Like, I can't stand them either, but that at some point, and hey, when you're cheating, but I mean, I guess now it really is true. Like, unless you're cheating, you're not trying. Like, I wonder if Belichick wishes he could start cheating again because his team's so bad. Because he obviously can't do it with the personnel he has. But the Astros, 7 consecutive ALCS, they knock off the Twins. Atlanta and Philadelphia. So this game, we got game 4 tonight. Philly can clinch it. I don't think somebody asked me on Twitter, do you think Bryce Harper gets dotted tonight? Meaning, does somebody hit him? I don't think so because it's a playoff game. Like, I mean, you every pitch, and maybe I'm exaggerating, but I don't think I am. I mean, really, every pitch, unless it's like a blowout game and Atlanta's ticked off and they're going home and Philadelphia does what they did to them last year again, then maybe they take issue. I mean, there is some sort of professionalism here, but I mean, heck, you saw a whole bunch of guys admiring shots. Marte from Arizona, he hits his and he was like, it's all Booney's fault. See, Booney started it with the bat flip. Mark that. It's all Booney's fault. Booney didn't start all this with the bat flip, we would not be where we are right now. But actually, I mean, you know, one of the reasons we love sports is, first of all, you do want to see rivalries emerge in sports. Even though we've got entities trying to eliminate rivalries in sports, we do like seeing rivalries either maintained or begin anew. Now, Atlanta, Philadelphia, they've been in the NL East for a while now, but this is when rivalries happen. When you're fighting to move on, it's win or go home. Well, it's win or go home. And Bryce Harper, whether Orlando Arcia saw or had any idea that there was a camera rolling or anybody was going to get him saying attaboy Harper after Harper made the base running mistake in game 2 to end it. He said it. Harper heard about it. And he hit 2 bombs last night. The first one was an absolute bomb. And as he is coming around second, he's trying to get eye contact with Arcia. I believe the second one is when Arcia did make eye contact. But see, this is why it's good. This is why it's good stuff. This is why tonight I will be tuned in. Like Denver, Kansas City, normally NFL will hold my interest. And by the way, the Cavs are on tonight, preseason. I think Kansas City, Denver is going to be an absolute, just blowout. And I know, well, it's an easy call, but no,
Do you expect Kelsey to go tonight?
I wouldn't. I mean, I think they can at home. I mean, I don't know how he is, put it that way.
Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance, reportedly.
Oh.
No, I mean, if she's showing up, he might be playing, right?
You know what? That's when I first hear that from you, Bohm, I roll my eyes, but honestly, I think that has to be taken into consideration. If she shows up, yes, I think. Now, what if Andy Reid wants to sit him out?
Well, I'm going against him in fantasy this week, so I hope so.
And Kelsey's like, Tay-Tay's here. Tay-Tay.
Gotta let me put on for my girl.
The only thing I don't understand, and I mean, is Kelsey his wardrobe now? Is that Taylor's gear? Because he's got a clothing line too, right?
Yeah.
Is that what he's wearing?
I know he was wearing her gear for that first game she attended. I didn't see what he had post game for after the second game she was there.
Well, if he had a top hat and a cane, he looked like a pimp. That's what he looked as he's walking behind her. He looks like her pimp. It's I don't get it. I feel like it's the puffy shirt episode in Seinfeld. Wait a minute, I agree. The low talker and Jerry didn't realize that he agreed to wear that on the Tonight Show. He's like, no, I agreed to. Yeah, you have to wear it. So then he wears the puffy shirt, and they make fun of him. I mean, look, if you're Travis Kelce, you can pretty much pull off any look, and dare I, of all people, call anybody out on fashion. Although I kind of.
Yeah, you're buttoned up today.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
No pun intended.
It just looks weird.
I don't disagree with you, but I think all that matters is that Tay-Tay likes it.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Because this is now it's not regular season, but it's Cavs preseason, and I think if there wasn't a big change in everything that's going on, as far as the system and pace and space is the new buzzword, and shooting a lot of threes and new faces. If that wasn't going on, I don't think you'd see a ton of people tuned in tonight, but I think there's definitely a huge interest in watching the Cavs. So you've got the Cavs preseason game tonight. Just to make sure, I want to make sure that I'm right about that, because my luck, yeah, they host the Magic tonight at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. So you watching the Cavs, which begins at 7. You can watch the Cavs for an hour. Then you've got Denver, KC, and then at 8:07, well, I should say technically 8:07, you have Atlanta, Philadelphia, game 4, and at 8:15, Denver, Kansas City. Now, for me, I'm probably watching majority, if not all, of Atlanta and Philadelphia. I will watch the Cavs for the first hour, no doubt. But I don't think Denver KC is going to, unless the Braves Phillies is a blowout, I'm probably not going to watch much of Denver Kansas City.
Honestly, just football is my favorite sport, so I'd love to watch Thursday Night Football, but I don't have Amazon, so I'll be watching everything but.
You said you have fantasy. I have no fantasy, guys. And sadly, that does play a part for some people. Like if I have fantasy repercussions or fantasy, scenarios in this, then yeah, I'm going to watch. I don't have any, but I am so into particularly this series, Atlanta, Philadelphia, that.
Yeah, I want to watch Bohm.
Your cousin, Alec. Yeah,
sure.
Your cousin Alec.
Cousin Al.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think this series and Bryce Harper, this is what stars do. And he is a superstar. Like he gets on these stages. When guys get on these stages, it's important that they perform. And, obviously, yeah, if your team wins but he's not just like yesterday, that was kind of something that they'll be talking about in Philadelphia and around baseball for years and years to come. I mean, he was the GOAT. I'm not saying that they win the game, but you can't get doubled up to end the game in game 2. You just can't do that. So he gets doubled up, but then what do? You go home, you know that people are, making fun of you, or at least Orlando Arcia is making fun of you, and then you just hit a mammoth second deck, upper deck shot to right. Once would have been plenty, and you go around second and stare him down, but then you see, you know what? Let's do it again to straightaway center field. That's badass. That's like legendary status. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that tonight. So I'll be watching. That's probably going to garner the majority of my interest. All right. The Cavaliers, as we said, in action. The Browns are going to be in action on Sunday. We don't know who's going to play quarterback. We do know this, that if Deshaun Watson cannot go, the Browns have, and this was all I asked for during the bye week. I mean, there's a lot that I'd like to ask for during the bye week, but nothing against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think he's a very talented player, and I think he's going to be in the NFL for a long time, but you can't, you couldn't, it wasn't fair to throw him to the Wolves 90 minutes before kickoff, finding out, okay, here you go, you got the Baltimore Ravens, but you've got a veteran in P.J. Walker. You get him up to speed. They have, and he is going to start Sunday if Deshaun Watson can't go. Now, how much gamesmanship is being played right now with Kevin Stefanski and the Browns? I don't think much. Like, I'm starting to believe, like everyone else, that, obviously I did not see Baltimore coming. I did not see that coming at all. I don't think anybody did. But most importantly, I don't think his teammates did. So when we talk about him not being ready to go, him struggling with the injury, blah, 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 it's legit. He didn't practice yesterday, didn't talk to the media yesterday, as he normally does on Wednesday. Today, he didn't talk to the media. I still haven't heard if he practiced or not today, or is at practice today. And if he is, if he's on their practice field or indoors doing whatever. So the bottom line is, and go back and watch the Dante Whitner interview, or don't. You can do whatever you want. But he didn't shy away from it. I think we all know. Like, beginning of the week on Monday, when I said I think the Browns are going to get their asses kicked, I still meant it, but there was a lot of pushback from many of you. Now when I say that, there's not a whole lot. I think people realize that if the Browns win this game, it'll be a miracle. I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to play. If that defense can get some turnovers from Brock Purdy, which isn't going to be easy. I mentioned what he did against Dallas. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, spread the ball around, 7 different guys catching passes. It is going to be, it's a full day's work coming up for the Browns. Full day's work and then probably a couple of OT sessions as well if they're going to win that game. So, we'll see what happens, but I doubt Deshaun Watson's going to be at the helm for that. But we shall see. Tomorrow on the show, we will have our Pick Six segment brought to you by Tipico. So we'll have 2 college games, 4 NFL games, and I think we will definitely be picking the Browns Niners as well. So we'll do that. We've got Bill Landis who's going to join us talking about Ohio State. I'm curious, the past few times we've talked to him, the running game, I mean, he hasn't shied away from it. He has no reason to. He's just an objective journalist covering them. But he said, yeah, you know what? They did lose a lot on the offensive line. But as you go back and watch film, and I'm not saying me and Ryan Day were watching film together, but different articles, especially Bill writes for Rivals, like some of his early work in the week is devoted to game film and showing you clips, and how like Ryan Day is in love with the short field gap scheme run to the point where like it's not effective. Teams know it's coming. I wonder what Bill's going to have to say about that tomorrow. So they've got Purdue. Yeah, I know there's that whole, they don't play well in West Lafayette. I always say this. They should be okay. They should be fine. I don't know. I think the defense is going to show up. I just don't know on offense what you're getting. And that's not necessarily a knock on Kyle McCord. It's just up front right now. And even the play calling. Like, this is not just on, the offensive line. Maurice Clarett. I did write that down in my notes for tomorrow for Landis. Like, Maurice Clarett coming out and saying they are not tailoring plays and play calls to their personnel, whether it be Travion Henderson in the backfield, Chip Trainum in the backfield, Mayan Williams in the backfield. They're not doing it. So we'll talk to Bill on tomorrow's show as well. All right, Bohm. We are out of time for this Thursday. Tomorrow, as we said, noon to 2 right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Thanks to Dante Whitner. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, also iHeartRadio. We had the live stream, but we have replays throughout the day. You do want to hear what he had to say, and he didn't mince many words, as he doesn't, when it comes to the 49ers and just how great they are and concerns and how the Browns actually come away with a victory on Sunday. We'll talk more about that again tomorrow on the show. For Michael Bohm, Mr. Bombastic, and Dante Whitner, all of us here at Big Play Sports, I'm Mike Chico Borman. Until tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody. See ya.